Bitcoin is at a critical level of support right here, right now. But one thing very important is that liquidity have started to flow back into the market. That means recovery is underway. And if you look at the price of Ethereum, look at it right here. Of course, this level have been broken. The next point of interest is this very area of support. Will the market move down before the next move to the upside? And if you look at this very coin right here, ZEC have been doing very well. Will this coin do 1k dollar in the next coming weeks? I'll be discussing all of this. And one important thing right here is the fact that liquidity have begun to flow back into the market from this very chart right here. Let's discuss all of this and put things into perspective in this very video. Pay attention and watch this video all the way to the very end. The first thing here is the price of Bitcoin. If we see the price of Bitcoin begin to recover, then it means that liquidity is beginning to flow back into the market. And I believe that from this very area where the market is right now is a point where liquidity will begin to flow back into the market before we see the market begin to move all the way to the upside gradually. Of course, we can see significant crazy pump all the way to the upside. That is possible, but I am not expecting that at the moment because there is also this risk factor that the markets have the possibility of coming back into this very area. If you look at this very area in the past, it's a very critical point where market collected liquidity, then move all the way to the upside, come back to where the market is right now at this very point, and they begin to move upward. What that means is that from this very point, if the market does not recover from here, there is 40% chance to 50% chance that the market is going to drop into this very area before we see final move all the way to the upside from what I am seeing on chain and off chain, including what we are seeing on this very technical data. What I am now looking at is for the market in the next 1 to 2 weeks to recover within this very point. What that means is market can recover from here all the way to the upside, or we see the market drop back down a little bit, then we see recovery within this very point all the way upward. This is what you need to keep your eye on right now on the price of BTCUSDT 1-day chart right here. And if you come to the price of BTCUSDT 4-hour chart, it is covered that if you look at this very area critically, it is covered that the market come back down significantly. Look at the candles right at this very point. We have significant bullish candles within this very area. Of course, there were little bullish candle, but if you look at what the market is doing right now within this very point, discover that the bear candle are not that strong compared to what we see when the market was moving this impulse to the downside. What that means is market will begin to recover, in my opinion, once this very impulse come to an end, which is going to end very, very soon in the next few hours, and then market will begin to have some stability within this area and then begin to move to the upside. This is what I am now paying attention to on this very price action from now moving forward. So on the immediate short term BTC USDT 4-hour chart, pay attention to market recovery. Market can drop a little bit, but the recovery is the most important thing right now because liquidity have begun to gather and build up in the market, and this is what you need to pay attention to. If you come back to the price of ETH, it is covered that this very point has been broken on the price of ETH. That further raise the risk factor that the market on ETH from this very point can drop into this very area of important support. So therefore, this very point have greater capacity of holding the market after that very drop. So I am still expecting the market to drop 40% of the time. Market have capability of coming into this very area before we see the market begin to recover to the upside. And the market from this very area as well, you can see that this was the very point where market dropped into and begin to move upward. And right now, liquidity have been collected from this very area. So if liquidity is satisfied, which I am still looking at, market can begin to recover from this very area and begin to move upward. And if liquidity is not satisfied, that means market is going to go down again and find another point of liquidity, which is this very area, and collect liquidity from this very point before satisfaction and a movement to the upside. This is what you must have to keep your eye on as well, on the price of ETH USDT 1 day chart. This is what I am personally looking at right now on this price action from now moving forward to be in the right direction of the market. And if you come to ETH 4 hours chart, you discover that the way the market moved down in the past within this very point, market was very aggressive with all this significant drop with this strong bearish candle. What that also means is that the bears were very strong within this very area. But if you consider what we are seeing right now, you discover that the market is not that aggressive within this very point. Of course, you can make an argument and say that the market is going to still drop aggressively into this very area. That may be true, but I am looking at a gradual move to the downside. So market move down, approaching this very area, and then market is going to begin to move upward. Of course, this is weekend already, and we should not expect crazy pump on average on weekend in crypto. But I am still looking at market coming back down during the weekend, and then maybe still in the weekend or close to the end of the weekend, market should recover. This is what I am now looking at from this very price action perspective, ETH 4 hours chart from now moving forward. One important thing right here is the price of Pi. Pi, for me, have become a pump and dump token. Look at it at this very point. Market move from here to this very area. We have this rejection with these two candles, rejection candles, and then market from here drop into this very point. I mark out this point as a point of interest, and that is where the market is right now. So the next point is this very area. I want the market to come down into this very point of support, and there is a 30% chance from what I am seeing on this very price action that this market, when it come into this very area, 30% chance it can break out and come into this very point, and this point will be a very strong point that should hold the market, and also liquidity grab and satisfaction is going to send the market upward as well. So things to note on this very price action from this moment on Pi USDT 4-hour chart is that the market is going to move down, first of all, in my opinion, and a breakout here, 30% chance, market is going to drop into this very area of support, and we see spike from this very area as well. So this is what you need to look at right now. I know this is not a good news for pioneers, but that is the truth from what I am seeing on price action, in my opinion, from now moving forward. So pay attention to these guys to be in the right direction of the market. And if you come to the 4-hour chart, still on Pi USDT 4 hours, you discover that the market from this very point is going to come back down. Why? Because if you look at the way the market moved here, market moved and then come back down, move, and at this very area, what happened? If you look at this area critically, considering this bullish candle and this bear candle, if you put these two candles side by side, you discover that these two candles have formed a bearish engulfing pattern. And if that happens, then what we should be expecting is for the market to come back down after this very candle, which will be a confirmation candle. So this is what I am now paying attention to, and that is why I am looking at market coming back down on this very price action. And if you look at ZEC right here, market is really pumping all the way to the upside. In fact, people are really talking about this, and that market is going to still move upward. What I am expecting, let's say for example you bought ZEC below $100 or below $200, I am not expecting a further aggressive, too much crazy pump. I am looking at market pumping into the $1K level. So if you are in this very position, or you bought ZEC in the past few weeks or months, market is going to still move into this very area of $1,000. $1K level is a very strong psychological level. You must not pay deaf ear to, because market is going to come here and have good retracement before any continuation to the upside. This is what you need to pay attention to as well on the price of ZEC from now moving forward. This is very important, guys. And if you look at Dash, in my opinion, I believe that Dash is going to pump just like we are seeing on the price of ZEC right now. So Dash is going to have some kind of retracement. Why? Because we see this rejection from this very area, and then market is going to retrace into this very area before the next move to the upside. And the exact point that market is going to retrace into is this very area, in my opinion. This very point right here is the point I am expecting the market to retrace into before continuation to the upside. Why this point? Number one, because market from this very area have capacity because of this very gap that appear at this very area. And not only that, we have a resistance right here which will turn support at this very point for market to move upward. And this is why I am now looking at market coming back down into this very area, and then market is going to begin to move upward significantly on the price of Dash. So in my opinion, I am expecting that Dash move just like we've seen in the case of ZEC. And this is very, very important. Lastly, if you look at the price of BTCUSDT, this is the price action we look at to know if money is going to flow back into altcoins. And one thing very important here is that if you look at this very area, you discover that the market at this very point have a very important psychological level. If you look at this area, you discover that market have rejected from this very point. The first time right here, rejection, market come back down. And then the second point right here, rejection is ongoing again, which means market is going to come back down, in my opinion. What that translates into is that we are going to see money begin to flow back into altcoin. That means liquidity is going to flow back into altcoin once you begin to see the market begin to move gradually to the downside. Of course, I am not expecting aggressive drop on the price of BTC.D. That means market should drop gradually, okay, on this very price action coming back down, and we can see recovery and then come back down again. This is what I am now looking at. And if you look at this very area critically, it is covered that from this very point, market dropped to the downside from here, market dropped to the downside, and then from this very point as well, resistance, market drop, market is at the same point again from here. I am expecting market to drop as well after this rejection here, and rejection from this very point. This is what you must have to pay attention to from now moving forward. And for the fact that market is going to drop down on the price of BTC.D, the 1 day chart, what that means is liquidity is gradually building up on price action. If you look at this chart right here, is a critical chart that you need to pay attention to when it comes to liquidity. So liquidity is gradually building up. If you look at this very point, discover that liquidity is gradually coming up on price action right now. So if we see liquidity build up, what that means is we are going to see some bullish move, not aggressive one because it's still building. So once that build up enter into play in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we should expect market begin to move upward. This is what you need to pay attention to right now. So Bitcoin liquidity is starting to recover. The leading signal shows a rebounce on the way. If the trend holds, price usually follow within 2 weeks. So I am looking at 1 to 2 weeks for price to fully follow once the trend is intact. Remember, once the trend is intact, and this is very, very important. One important thing we must not fail to look at is the global crypto market capitalization. We see that the market cap in the past few days was within $3.40 trillion. Right now, there is a decline. Market is now at $3.32 trillion, coming back down. Not good. We need to see liquidity flow back into crypto. And if you look at the fear and greed index, this is 21 extreme fear. And the altcoin index at 21 over 100 is not also good at all, because if we keep at this very point of 21, then we're not going to see the market to move as expected, or we see recovery, okay, even much more later. I want to see this begin to flip back into 65, 70, and 80, 85 for us to see significant move on the price of altcoin. If we don't see that, Don't expect crazy or aggressive move on the price of altcoin yet. Expect recovery first before crazy move. If you look at the average crypto RSI, it is covered that this is still within the oversold condition, which means market need to move gradually into the overbought area for us to see significant pump in the market. Crypto bubbles, look at AIA has pumped 355%. Now it's coming back down a little bit to 165%. And we look at Fetch. Fetch is doing well in the past 3 to 4 days. Market has been moving upward. And if you look at 5 year, 61.2%. Market is going to begin to recover, in my opinion, in the next 1 to 2 weeks. This is very, very important. And this is what you need to pay attention to on this various chart. Market is going to recover, in my opinion, in the next 1 to 2 weeks. If you gain value from this video, please consider supporting this channel by leaving a like for this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification for more crypto videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.